Welcome to the most important week of the year for the podcast industry. Welcome to Podcast Movement 2025.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm going to just make sure that you are on the red track. I can see everybody's on the red track. Yes. Fantastic. Okay, let's go. Yes, we're on. So I'm really excited. My name is Odile. I work for Ausha. And I'm really excited today for the panel we're going to talk about podcast search strategies. And we have on stage three incredible experts. I should get my thing. And just before we start, a couple of words about Ausha. Here they are. The thing is here. Okay, so Ausha is a platform that is built to grow your audience with powerful marketing tools that are designed specifically for podcasting. There are 5 key tools on Ausha, one for hosting and distributing, one AI for episode publishing, one which is free chart tracking, Ausha Pro for enterprise, and last but not least, podcast search optimization, which is like podcast SEO. And this is super hot right now. It's incredibly impactful. And that's what we're going to talk about today with these 3 pros. So Ausha, just so you know, has more than 20,000 podcasts on the platform. So still growing. And I'll be excited to talk to you about this at the booth. But right now, let's dive right into it. I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves. We have Courtney from Pod Launch, we have Jaco from Big Pond Podcast, and Ellie from Resonate Recordings. And my first question to each of them is going to be, start big picture. Like, when did you realize that podcast search optimization or having a podcast search strategy was not just a nice to have, but really a core element of your growth strategy? So maybe, Jaco, and please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jaco. I'm the CEO at Big Pond. We help grow and monetize shows, working with over 300 shows right now. One of the things we always focus on when we're talking growth is how can we really optimize for organic growth, because you don't have to pay for that. So SEO was always a big thing. When we met with Ausha, the team, learned about their PSO tool, we thought it was the perfect complement to understand not just search engine optimization, but specifically in podcasting and how that relates to Apple, Spotify, and how we could improve making slight changes to see large results in terms of growth.
Hey everyone, I'm Courtney Elmer. I'm the CEO and founder of Pod Launch, and what we do is we apply psychology and human behavior to podcasting to help drive audience engagement, to help you get more listens, to get more plays on your show. And it was 5 years ago that I knew that optimizing for search, specifically in podcasts, was going to become a thing. The problem 5 years ago was that we did not have a way to track it. And so it made it very difficult to convince anyone, hey, here's a strategy that you could do to grow your show, and you couldn't see or measure any kind of results from it. So we were very excited when Ausha introduced their dashboard, where now it's so easy to see how this strategy can pay off. So really excited to dig in here in just a minute.
Hi, I'm Ellie Puckett. I'm the CEO at Resonate Recordings. We help organizations and thought leaders connect with their target audience through the power of podcasting. I actually bought Resonate 2 years ago, and I started down the journey of figuring out how we retained more clients and how we helped them actually be successful and get the most out of their podcast journey. And it was in that I kept asking, how do we help more of these shows seek and get the growth that they're looking for? And I met Ausha here at the conference last year, and we've been implementing it and with actually Courtney and helping our clients see that growth. And it was in those moments that I was like, finally, we have a solution and tangible reasons why some of these shows are not going as far as we think they should. Their content is great. Why are they not being seen? And we finally had an answer.
Okay, so let's go really concrete here. So let's talk about your podcast search optimization workflow. Like, how do you actually select keywords and how do you optimize the titles and descriptions of your episodes on a regular basis? Like Courtney, maybe you want to.
Yes, I would love to take this one. This is one that I could be here all day talking about this, but to keep it very simple for you, essentially, you want to know what is the intent of your listener when searching for a podcast like yours. So we want to know listener intent. What are they likely typing into that search bar? And then we want to go a level deeper and want to actually see how many people are searching for that topic. Is this a competitive keyword term to rank for? Is this a relatively easy one to rank for? And when building a keyword strategy, really what I always recommend is we're looking for a mix of topics or keywords that you know your audience is looking for, even if they're a bit broad. Like in my podcast, for example, it's podcasting. I know that's what people are typing into the search bar. There is a lot of search volume for that term. However, it's also a competitive one to rank for because there are a lot of podcasts about podcasting who are also trying to get visibility under that keyword search term. So the first step really is to kind of know what's out there, know your competition. Build a keyword list. I usually say about 10 to 15 keywords, with about 3 to 5 of those being the target keywords that you know you want to be found for no matter what. And then from there, the next step is simply to start utilizing those keywords very naturally in all of the written messaging of your podcast. And we can go deeper into this if we have time, but essentially, there are different elements that Apple and Spotify and even YouTube are reading. They're crawling these pages and all this written messaging, and they're looking to see, what is this about? What's this episode about? What's this podcast about? And essentially, if we think of it like a map, well, we can give Apple and Spotify the keyword search terms to help those listeners find us and to match those listeners with our show. So from there, we want to be optimizing all that written messaging and then just simply look and measure and track the results. And this is why I love SEO or PSO so much, specifically for podcasts, is because there's a little bit of upfront legwork that you have to do, but after that, it's just very simple to maintain. It doesn't take a lot of time, but you get a big return for the time that you invest into doing a strategy like this.
Cool. So, the big question you get asked a lot within a company, whether you have a boss or something, is like, what are the KPIs? Like, what does success look like? How do you measure success? Is that downloads, ratings? Is that like visibility? Like, so Jaco, maybe you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of break it out into 2 phases because with SEO and PSO, it's not I flip a switch and my downloads have now magically doubled. It really does take time. So the first phase, we're looking at keyword rankings. Are we actually ranking higher on Spotify, on Apple? Once we get to a level where we're comfortable, we're ranking well. We know when someone types in football, they're getting our football shows. And then once we move into that, that's when we do start looking at downloads, because ultimately the goal is, how do we grow? How do we get more downloads? And those are kind of the 2 main KPIs that we're looking at, because ultimately, like I said, the goal is to grow our shows and grow our downloads.
Cool. Okay, that one actually is one I know Ellie is dying to answer this question. What are the biggest mistakes that you see podcasters make when it comes to visibility and search optimization? And why did you want that question?
Yeah, so I volunteered myself for this question because I mentioned I bought Resonate just 2 years ago. I am new to the podcast space. I would call myself a small business expert, but I would not call myself a podcasting expert. Maybe this year I am, but I would not have last year.
Absolutely.
And I had started a podcast about buying businesses, and then I bought a podcast production company. And everything on that podcast I did absolutely wrong. And so I think some of the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing, and one of the things that really clicked, is like episodes that have cute titles. Just take your cute title and throw it out the door and tell people what's in the episode. I'm not saying you don't want to have some marketing, pizzazz in that, but we need people to know what you need to make sure that they have the search term that you want them to find you for, or else they can't find you. If you're always using the exact same thing to intro every single episode, when they search, you're going to keep seeing that. So we had a client using, they have a podcast called Deep Thoughts About Stupid Shit. And so they would say deep thoughts about the Titanic, deep thoughts about Firefly, deep thoughts about XYZ. And then you'd search it, and all it says is deep thoughts over and over and over again. And so you can't see it, and they were just murdering their SEO. So it didn't matter how good their content was. And so we're all making a lot of mistakes that we don't even realize. Episode numbers, big no. And so I had realized I'd made like every single mistake. Ausha was like, do not do this. The moment I opened up the tool, I was like, I have done absolutely everything wrong. And we edit for we're editing like 350 episodes a month and about 300 active clients. And I'm seeing the same mistakes over and over and over again. And they're so small and so easy to fix. And so it was like this light bulb moment of like, hey, we should get this information out to these clients so we can fix these small things so you can get found.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, to me, if you, like everything we're talking about here are small things that can be changed really easily with big impact. So for those of you who do those are the list of things we can do. What's the expected impact? What's the effort? You always go with high impact, low effort. This is what we are talking about here. So really worth it. Yes.
It's actually funny you say that because our process when we're starting is we do pull all the keywords that we want to rank and do the exact same thing. We make an impact effort matrix where it's like what keywords have the highest impact and are the easiest to implement. So it's funny.
Yeah.
Great minds.
I've worked in startup for me. Okay, now for people in the room, whether they are big networks, big agencies, independent indies, somebody who hasn't launched a podcast, what is the first thing they can do, like starting next week? What can they do? What should they do to increase their podcast visibility next week?
I would actually say go to ChatGPT, grab 10 of the links of your competitor podcast, okay? 10 if you can. 5 is good, 10 is better. Grab the link to their show on Apple, pop it into GPT, and say, show me the 10 most optimized keywords pulled from the metadata of this podcast. Now, GPT is going to give you a list of the search terms that are frequently used in those competitor podcasts. GPT can't tell you if that's a good search term to go after. There's a little bit more research that you'll need to do, and a tool like Ausha can certainly help. Again, going back to search volume and difficulty. But it can certainly help you to see what other podcasts like yours are ranking for now, what keywords, or not ranking specifically, but what keywords are showing up often in their metadata. And then you could go and type those keywords into Apple and into Spotify and see, is my podcast showing up alongside these other shows? Is this a keyword that my listener might be searching for? If so, how can I start working this into the written messaging of my podcast? Then I would start with your episode titles, and I would start with your episode footer if your podcast hosting provider offers that feature. Because in the footer feature, it's kind of like a signature, like an email signature that would get appended onto all of your episodes. You can work your top 2 to 3 keywords into that signature, that footer, very naturally, and it will back catalog, it will apply to all episodes that you have, which will increase the frequency of that keyword. It's a very quick and dirty hack there. But then also going forward, how can you work those keywords into your episode titles? And of course, you can go much deeper than that as far as researching and strategy goes, but those are a couple of really quick, easy to implement, doesn't take a lot of time to implement tools that you can use.
I would build on that. If you wanted to step 1, just go and remove your numbers that I know exist on your podcast right now. Episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, go just delete that out. If you don't have the time to do it, get yourself a VA, have them do what Courtney just said, and go back through and retitle all of your episode titles, and then start working through your descriptions. Those are like really fast wins you can have in the podcast SEO space, and work smarter, not harder.
Cool. Thank you. The next question is about in your team, who in your team is responsible for that work? Do you personally handle it? I know, Jaco, you have 300, 400 podcasts. I mean, who in your team is doing this work?
So yeah, with that many podcasts, I would like to say that I oversee every single one of them and their SEO, but it definitely is more of a process. I definitely oversee the team, the growth team, but we have we essentially, a lot of the onus is put on the podcaster, because as much as we can tell them the right steps to take, actually implementing it is on them. So we'll onboard them, we'll teach them how to use Ausha, we'll walk them through all the tips and tricks that we have. We have office hours where they can come ask more questions, But really it is, as all things are, it's your baby. You got to kind of put the work in to raise it. And it's, like I said earlier, it's not an instant gratification thing. We go back, we update every single episode, descriptions, things like that, going to our whole catalog. And then essentially also just continuing that consistency when we're creating new episodes, publishing new episodes.
On our team, we have two kind of options for implementing podcast SEO. One would be working with a producer on our staff. In our world, that's like your podcast coach or your project manager, quarterback. That is not your audio editor. We have a different role for that. And so if you have a producer with us, they can work with you through that. It is a part of our customer experience team and the idea of how do we make clients help them grow their shows. And so that's where it lives at Resonate. And then also, not every client has a producer or can afford to have someone else do that for them. And that's when we would do more of the teaching and education. If I had it all to do over again, if I could go back to 3 years ago and start my podcast over again, I would actually start at Pod Launch, get the education. You can actually buy it through Resonate too. But I would start at Pod Launch and learn how to be a good podcaster and implement it as I was going. But if you're already a podcaster, then Ausha and Pod Launch is how I'd go about that.
Cool. Love that. I'll just quickly add that we have trained members on our team to now handle this for some of our more advanced clients who just don't want to bother with having to figure out keywords, and they just want someone to implement it for them and do the heavy lifting. But I'm very much of the mind of teach a man to fish, because once you have this knowledge as a podcast host, you are putting yourself in the 1%. Out of the 99% of podcasters who aren't thinking about PSO, they don't know about PSO. They might be ranking for a couple of things right now unknowingly, just because they happen to use these search terms quite a bit. But you can really, really outshine your competition with a very dedicated keyword strategy.
Cool. And something that, Jaco, you mentioned really briefly, but I think this is really important. The fun part about this work of optimization is that you can do that on all your old episode. I mean, so you can go as far as you want. I mean, I'm sure you have produced incredible content that's relevant still today. Optimize the titles, optimize the description so people find it right now. So that also something really important. Okay, now let's talk about concrete results, right? The three of you have implemented podcast SEO strategies. And can you give specific examples of how it produced results, hopefully positive? I don't know. Who wants to start?
I'll just continue on with our deep thoughts about stupid shit. Sorry for cussing. That's the name of the podcast. Example. So they were our guinea pig for this, and we tried with them, and now we're implementing it across all of our producer clients. And so we're in the process of onboarding 50 people at once to this. This is how much... or 50 shows at once to this. This is how much we believe in Ausha and what they're doing, and PSO as a whole, and the visibility they've given us. But with Deep Thoughts About Stupid Shit, they had been podcasting for over 2 years, every single week, 2 women making great content, and seeing almost zero results from it, with just some minimal changes around their show, titles, episode descriptions. They are now ranking for the words pop culture. They are number 23 on Apple, and they have seen hundreds of new downloads from it. And let me tell you, Ausha still says their visibility is at a 5 out of 100, and we're already seeing hundreds of more downloads. So they're still working through the backlog and getting it all integrated, but we're already seeing hundreds of more downloads from this strategy.
Love that. For us, it's been interesting because I used my own podcast as the guinea pig when we really started diving deep into this strategy so that I knew how to best teach it to others. And within 1 month, we saw a 41% increase in downloads to the show. We were doing no other marketing to the podcast during that time. We are now ranking, I think we've got 12 search terms that our show is ranking in the top 5 of search results for on Apple and or on Spotify. And it's been amazing to see that growth month over month. In about the 6 months that we were diligently doing SEO, we still maintain it, of course, but doing no other marketing for the podcast. And the show continued to grow 16% month over month with this strategy alone.
Yeah, wow. And just kind of echo off that, I think it's really important because, SEO, PSO, I always say is really great for some of the smaller and mid-sized shows because that's where, I'll give an example of one of our shows, Tell Me a Ghost Story. She, great content, grew really quickly over the first 6 months of her show. And then, like most podcasts do, they hit a plateau where no matter what they tried, they just weren't, breaking through that ceiling. And then we started doing PSO, and she was one of our first adopters of it. She is extremely passionate about PSO. I wish she could speak here because she'd give a great testimonial. But essentially, she consistently uses PSO. She uses the keywords, all the recommendations. And over the 6 months, she's actually grown her show by 146%, from about 10,000 downloads to almost 40,000, or almost 30 or 20, almost 30,000 downloads. So we're seeing great results there. A lot of our other shows are, slowly growing as well. We've been rolling it out for 6 months, so I would say about half of our shows are still in the first phase where we're focusing on keywords, but we've been seeing positive results across the board. So it's definitely a tool that has really boosted the growth for some of our smaller shows that we really wanted to focus on.
Great. That's good. I mean, that's good to hear. And again, like being found, I mean, there are people out there who want to find you, who need to find you, who you need to find. So this is what it is. It's really like using the right words, and this is not like something to do instead of all the other marketing you do. You can still do cross promos. You can still do paid ad. You can do anything you want. This is like at your fingertips, something you can do right away that doesn't cost much, and this is really like you are talking to the world. Basically, people can stumble on you. So I think this is, to me, this is what I'm so passionate about it myself. Any final thoughts, or what's ahead, something you want to share about what you're doing? What's ahead for you in your podcasting journey?
So, I mean, final thoughts on PSO. I think SEO, PSO is a great way for podcasts to grow their shows without investing too much, And not only that, organic growth, I find, is much more permanent than paid advertising. If you're able to grow your show organically 2x, 3x versus, paid Google ad or whatever, those downloads usually don't stick, whereas organic is much more sticky. In terms of what's ahead for Big Pond, I think we all know video is coming, video is here, so definitely that's a big thing for us. Understanding how can we best optimize and mix in video, which I'm sure will come as a part of PSO as well soon.
Obviously.
Yeah, and for us, we're really excited about our new alliance with Resonate Recordings to help close that education gap that we see in podcasting, where there's a lot of podcasters who are hungry for this platform to work for them. They have a message, they want to share it, but they don't realize the learning curve in podcasting is very steep, as many of you have probably already figured out. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot getting into it that we don't know. It's not quite as easy as picking up a mic and hitting record, although I wish that it were. But as far as PSO goes, it's really one of those things that this is an up-and-coming strategy. This is something that more and more people are learning about, and this is something that I know you're going to have your heads full of ideas as you walk away from this conference this week, but if there was nothing else that you implemented, let it be this. Because this, for our clients, this is the foundation of a growth plan that we will build for their show and teach them how to build for their show. And this is the foundation because, again, the leverage, the time, you're optimizing your time, and then anything you layer in on top of this, whether it be organic or paid marketing, will help to further compound and further build the work that you're putting in with PSO.
I just want to echo what both of them said and make it clear, like Ausha asked us to be here because we use their tool, but they did not ask us to say everything we did. And our passion for this has absolutely nothing to do with like the goodie bags. All right. So like this is fully about how much benefit we're seeing for our clients. And I just believe so much in the podcasters are putting so much time, energy, and effort because that you believe in your mission, your vision, whatever the purpose is of your show. And I want you to get the ROI on all of that effort. And this is the foundation of getting that. And there's just not that many people doing it. And so we have the opportunity to take people who might not already be famous and get you the visibility that you desire, even if you don't have the dollars. And so there's not a lot of these solutions that don't add a lot of money. And it's like, add social media, get yourself these different things. There's so much of it costs a lot of money. And this is just like, train yourself to write your episode descriptions differently. And it's really not that hard once you know how. So our endorsement of this is because we actually use it and love it.
Love it. Thank you. I would share something from me of what's ahead for Ausha, which is when I'm talking ahead, it's like in the next couple of weeks. We just launched a new tool that is free called Ausha Charts. And it's available if you go to ausha.co. You can just sign up, put your podcast out there, and you will have updates on your rankings. And just like it will give you an idea of your visibility on some keywords. And so I encourage you to at least see where you are, what's happening for your podcast. And this is available as of yesterday. For those of you who are here, there are two things happening on this floor. You can visit the Ausha booth, where we have a little like live game where you can enter your podcast and actually see where you rank on specific keywords that you pick. We've had, I don't know, like many dozens of people trying it. Very interesting to see the keywords that people think they rank for. And then last but not least, there is a live demo of podcast SEO and PSO, the Ausha tool, at 4 p.m. today. I think it's in Grapevine 6. Grapevine 6. So this is a live demo, or of course you can come to our booth. Thank you so much. We have actually 2 minutes for questions.
So this is for Ellie with Resonate. You mentioned about not having like episode 1, episode 2, and so forth on your descriptions, which I see a lot. So what was the reason for that comment, and what are you finding with that?
Yeah, so essentially what Ausha taught me is that you and everyone else did it, so it's killing your SEO. So it is taking away your visibility, especially since normally it's at the beginning. And so you're taking away essential characters that someone else could be learning more about that specific episode, but also you and 18 million other people put that at the front, which made it hard for the people to understand, or hard for the search engines, not people, the search engines to understand when your episode needed to show up in their search.
Cool. Yeah. And they right there. And then somebody else. Yeah.
I want to piggyback on that. So what happens if you put in the title, right? So your website has its nice slug or whatever you call it, URL, no episode in it. It's there forever. Then you go back in and you edit, and you just put in the episode in the title. Because I'd love to send my listeners, oh, go check out episode 30 when we talked to so-and-so. I don't want to give that up. So what I do often is on Buzzsprout, I keep it just the regular title. It goes right to pod page, regular title. Then I go in and edit.
I have a great hack for you, Andy. I have a great hack for you. Okay. So for those of you that refer to previous episodes, go back and listen to episode 233 or go back and listen to episode 71. Yes, we want our listeners to go find those other episodes, but who's actually going to scroll through 200 episodes to find that one? Not that many people, although you might have your super fans that will. What I have found works really well is I'll say, and the link is in the show notes for you. And then I will put the link to the episode I'm referencing in the show notes. I can go in and I can edit that link at any point so that there's never a broken link on my podcast. And so that what I'm saying in the audio is evergreen. And so that way someone can go back and reference that particular episode that I'm referencing.
We are at time. I'm sorry. Find us for all of us are here available for you after that. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Thank you. Oh, there is time for one more. We are doing one more. Thank you for this.
Thank you. My question has to do with evergreen content. So I have a back catalog of 400 plus episodes where people are looking for, right, because I do it about a topic like this episode's about dogs. This one's about dirt. This one's about clouds. And so they're just scrolling to find, there's the one about clouds. So if and I've had complaints about this in the past, that I'm burying that content behind all of the rest of the keywords that I need to be appropriate for that. Is it problematic for me to still say clouds hyphen keywords, or does how does the ordering matter in order to help with the consumer as well as the algorithm?
Do you want to take this one? Do you want to take that one? Since we've already answered.
If you know.
So, can you repeat the last part?
Yeah, it has to do with, right, so if I put the title that they're searching for up at the front of the title of so if it's like clouds, fall asleep learning
Okay.
about clouds tonight or something like that,
Yeah.
they're trying to find that, but it's typically truncated in their search. And so I don't know how much Apple and Spotify.
I really think that you should ask the question over here, and
Yeah.
that we have a specific answer, but it's not necessarily. It's kind of confusing.
It'll be unique to your show.
It's unique to your show. It sounds
Yeah.
like.
I have
And-
a couple ideas for you.
I'd be glad to come talk
me
to
to
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you
we'll be
so
over here
much.
answering questions.
Thank you for coming.